Welcome back. My next guest is Mr. Raleigh Kincaid, the marriage and family therapist at Family Practice Associates. Welcome.
Thanks.
I mentioned divorce. Unfortunately, it affects a lot of people.
Yes. What did they say? Something like 42% of first-time marriages end in divorce, 60-something% of second time, 70-something% of third time. So yeah, it affects a lot of people.
So it's I wouldn't say let's not get married because it affects a lot of people.
Right.
But what are some things you can do to maybe prevent that from happening?
Well, I think I think the divorce rate is going down a little bit. It's not as bad as it was, 20, 30 years ago. And I think some of that has to do with people are waiting a little bit longer to get married. They're getting their careers together a little bit more before they get married. Some things like that do seem to help a little bit, as well as, setting up your marriage to have honest, clear communication from jump, not just waiting for trouble to come, but actually set up a pattern, a normal of making your marriage a priority, of sitting down and discussing difficult things together. I mean, you got to work at it, and you got to work at it before you have to work at it, if you know what I mean.
Well, but unfortunately, sometimes that doesn't work,
Right.
and we end up divorced.
Right.
So, effects of divorce, a lot of them.
Well, and it depends on, effects on children, effect on the spouses and the ex-spouses themselves. There's a lot of people who, after divorce, end up in financial crisis. Certainly more so in years gone by, but still true that some people end up below the poverty line economically after divorce. Emotional effects, psychological effects, sense of being uprooted, losing your home. There are lots of things that come out of it that can make it a very difficult transition.
And one of the things that a lot of my patients go through and a lot of our friends go through is what happens to the kids in this? Sometimes that's a very difficult problem.
Yeah, and the research on that is a little bit mixed, because there's some research that says that divorce is always bad on children. And then there's some research that says, well, it's not the ideal, but how do you do it, how you proceed through it as a couple can have a bearing on how the children do. If you can keep the level of conflict, of course you're having conflict is the reason you got divorced, but if you can keep the level of conflict reasonably low, continue to be cooperating co-parents is really important, that it doesn't just fall to one or the other of the parents, but both are actively involved in being parents of the children. Then children can come out of it okay, but obviously the ideal is an intact nuclear family that's low conflict.
Not use children as a pawn?
It's the worst thing that happens. When your children become weaponized, if you don't do this, if you don't do that, then here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to keep your kids and never let you see them again. Excuse me, we're going to move to Alabama and, whatever. I mean, those sorts of threats, they may function on some level of getting you what you want, but ultimately they're damaging to the children.
Okay, divorce is not always bad, though.
Obviously, there's some marriages that need to end in divorce. I mean, if the level of conflict is super high and continues to be, it's this toxicity. Certainly, if there are things like violence or, chronic abuse, chronic substance abuse, things like that, sometimes, I don't usually make this call for people, but sometimes it's the best choice.
Okay, now, take me as a friend, and one of my couples is getting divorced, and I as a friend. How do I deal with that?
Well, it kind of depends on your relationship. If you're friends with both, beware the desire of one or the other of them, or even both of them, want you to choose their side. If you want to remain neutral, you got to make that clear. I'm not going to choose sides in this. I'm going to try to love you both and support you both as best I can. Because there's a lot of side choosing that goes on, a lot of expectation of side choosing. I want the children to choose me. I want my friends. Side choosing is hopefully something friends can stay out of as much as possible.
So let's say you get through the divorce, and a lot of people are through the divorce. Now we've got a family here and a family there, and you decide to get married a second time. You're going to try to make it again. Then you've got a blended family. Are there some things you can do to make sure that blended family doesn't end up in divorce again?
Well, one thing, make sure that you're clear and well over your divorce before you get remarried. If you get into these rebound relationships and they become sort of these magical things, and all of a sudden they're not as great as they were cracked up to be, that can be a little bit of a problem sometimes. And also, you want to make it clear that the parents are the CEOs of the organization of raising the children. That it's still mom and dad who are responsible for making those calls and jointly working together to make those decisions. And if mom and dad can work together, then the other parts can fall into place much more easily. But if there's a lot of conflict there, then it's easy for some other party to want to move in and say, well, I'll make the decision, or I'll be mom, or I'll be, and that then becomes much more difficult for the children to figure.
So whether you're going through divorce, going through just a rocky marriage, doing a blended family, that's what you do for a living.
Yeah.
Do people, they just need to come see you? They need to say, hey, I just need help? I mean, how do they end up at your doorstep?
Well, I see them at all parts along the way. Unfortunately, I don't see them just as things are starting to get bad. I see them after things have gotten very bad, or one of them is already out the door. How do we get divorced and how do we do it well? Or somebody comes to therapy with their spouse just so they can say in front of me, I'm leaving you. I mean, I see all along the spectrum, but unfortunately not enough at the level of, we're starting to find a rocky time in our marriage here. Let's do something about it before it gets bad. That's when I'd really love to see them.
Well, and I would second that. If you're having trouble, see your marriage and family therapist early rather than late.
Yes, sir.
Thanks for coming in.